I'm Shelby.
And I'm Ron Burgundy, and welcome to NC Spectator's news broadcast. We're here today to talk about the story of Junior Johnson's presidential pardon.
Nate, can you fill me in on what a presidential pardon is?
Well, Shelby, in the United States, the pardon power for federal crimes is granted to the president under Article 2, Section 2 of the United States Constitution, which states that the president shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in the cases of impeachment.
Oh, well, I heard that the U.S. Supreme Court had interpreted this language to include the power to grant pardons, conditional pardons.
Thanks, Shelby. Now let's go to Bryn for explaining how pardons are checks and balances.
The pardon gives the president an extra check on the judiciary and Congress, a check that neither of the other branches has. This makes the pardon a particularly useful tool when the White House and Congress are at odds with one another.
Junior Johnson was born to run moonshine. It's deep in his roots and it flows in his blood. Heck, back during the Whiskey Rebellion in 1791, his ancestors were some of the first to make shine in Appalachia. And about 150 years later, Junior's family kept the tradition going in order to survive. Running moonshine wasn't always easy, or legal for that matter, but the Johnsons did what they did, and they had to do, to keep food on the table for their families.
There have been cases where Congress has considered introducing bills that limit the president's pardon power or allow oversight of pardons. Every last one of these bills failed. Why? Because the president's power to pardon is guaranteed by the Constitution. It's in the original document and not just the Bill of Rights. In the 1974 case, Schick v. Reed, the Supreme Court decreed that the pardoning power is an enumerated power of the Constitution and that its limitations, if any, must be found in the Constitution itself.
Junior Johnson was one of NASCAR's first stars in the 1950s and 1960s, and he later became a widely successful team owner in the sport. However, despite all of his triumphs at the track, Johnson had old legal problems hanging over his head. In 1956, federal agents caught the rising NASCAR star working a moonshine still in North Carolina. The arrest was particularly galling to Johnson because he was a legendary moonshine running driver. He received a 2-year sentence for the crime and spent 11 months in federal prison. Once Johnson got out of jail, he resumed his dominance of the NASCAR circuit, but he was bothered by the loss of his voting rights as a convicted felon. In the late 1986, Ronald Reagan pardoned Johnson for his moonshining past. This has been Ron Burgundy,
Bryn and Shelby.
Until next time.